Welcome back. It's what everyone will be talking about around the water cooler this morning, the Super Bowl. And a big part of the conversation will be about those commercials. They've become an integral part of the biggest game of the year. Companies spend millions to get a 30-second spot. Does it all pay off, though? Marketing and branding expert Margo Kahnrose joins us this morning for a little post-game analysis. Good morning.
Good morning.
So what was your favorite ad last night?
So a lot of debate over the best ads. My personal favorite was the Rocket Mortgage Barbie brand combo starring Anna Kendrick. I thought that spot was so brilliant for so many reasons. I mean, first of all, when you're looking at these ads, you got to think about, what makes them worth it. It's such an expensive ad buy. And then when you add in celebrities and the production value, it's through the roof, right? So it's got to be engaging, but it's also got to remind you what the brand is and what the value prop is. And Rocket Mortgage did that so well by telling the story of something that so many consumers can relate to right now, which is the struggle to find and buy a home in such a competitive market after the pandemic. So, they were able to tell this story in a really funny way through Barbie and, kind of an adult version of make-believe with Anna Kendrick. And it just nailed it on every measure for me.
It was so good, but you're right about hitting the mark. Sometimes you walk away from a commercial and you're like, that was funny, but what was it for? So that's a big part of it. And you mentioned celebrities. Celebrities were everywhere in the ads this year. What did you think about the QR code for Coinbase bouncing around?
Well, everybody's talking about it. So, you can definitely say on some level, it was clearly successful because it's the most talked about ad in the entire Super Bowl, and they did so very little, right? So I think if your metric for success on these is getting people talking around the water cooler the next day, Coinbase definitely did that. I do think that, they missed an opportunity to maybe tell more of a story, educate the market on crypto, which is, clearly going mainstream from the amount of crypto companies that were advertising last night. So, they had a full 30 seconds of one gimmick, the QR code bouncing around. Did I scan it and go to their mobile webpage? I did, as did millions of others. Was there something kind of interesting there? Yes. But from my personal opinion, it was a flex, but probably this early in this, kind of industry's lifespan, a little more market education would have been a better use of that ad buy.
That's so interesting. I mean, I know so many people, whether you like it or not, probably scanned it, so much so that it crashed the website because there was so much traffic at that time. Which one do you think missed the mark?
Yeah, there were a few that were kind of soft, in my opinion. The Irish Spring ad was kind of interesting because it was their first time advertising the Super Bowl. Probably no one's been talking about this product in quite a lot of time. So, and the other thing they were trying to do is kind of introduce a rebrand and connect with younger consumers. So, this is like your grandmother's soap, right? And they're trying to get at a younger audience. And they put out this very odd, spot in tone. It was kind of funny. But, did it connect with their intended audience? I'd have a hard time believing that. They had a funny concept, which is body odor. You could probably do a lot with that. And they took it into this, kind of fantasy cult land. And it was definitely one where people are like, huh? But as far as, reaching and connecting with the younger consumer and positioning their soap, against other competitive soaps, I highly doubt that they succeeded there.
Yeah, that was one that I was like, why? And how did it pass so many rounds of people like looking through it through the company and they're like, this is it, I mean, it was terrible. Last question for you. Did you notice any differences between this year's ads and ones from the past?
Well, I think in recent years, there's been so much focus on the pandemic, and it made its way into advertising because, it felt really wrong in the heat of things to not reflect the tone of the nation and of the world really at large. So, there were these super serious ads in the last few years. A lot of them showed masks so that they wouldn't seem tone deaf. And a lot of them, had this kind of like unity messaging that had political undertones too. So there was none of that this year. It was kind of a return to like Hollywood, flashy, high production value, celebrity stuffed ads that were, primarily about entertainment and very optimistic and fun in tone. And you also saw some of the industries that had pulled back from advertising in the last couple of years, maybe just because there wasn't demand for their product, right? Like travel companies or automotive companies came back this year with a bang. And, I think that overall made a big statement, as well as the almost complete lack of messaging around COVID whatsoever.
Yeah, I noticed a huge difference this year compared to last. It was a nice change. It was just a lot of comedy and celebrities and fun and high production, and we're all still talking about it today, and it was just really nice. I really loved hearing your, expertise in this and what your thoughts were, Margo. Really appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here. Have a great one.
You too.